All right, welcome. I'm Tim Scoggins, Chairman of the Shaftsbury Select Board, and I am calling this meeting to order at 6:30 on Monday, June 5th, 2017. First up, I must ask the members of the board, does anyone have a conflict of interest with anything appearing on the agenda this evening?
No.
No? Nope.
No.
Item 3, approval of minutes. Did we have minutes? I don't remember seeing any minutes.
Neither do I. No.
No.
There might not be any in here.
Yeah, okay.
Hold on 1 second.
All right.
There are
well,
minutes in the Dropbox. There are minutes for the first,
Okay, they must have gone in
they were
pretty
in last
recently.
week.
Really? All right. Well, none of us have seen them, so we'll
We
have to
can just do them
postpone,
the next time.
postpone approving of minutes.
I almost think we didn't approve any last time either. Is that possible?
Okay,
Oh, yeah, because that was the
that
short
was that
meeting.
special
That was
meeting,
a short
yeah.
one. Okay, then.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, we'll do better next time.
You copied them? Oh, he gave them to you.
Well, Ken's ready.
Ken's ready, but nobody
Ken and
else.
Joy, Barbara, we need one more.
Okay, we'll go on to warrants. The first one I have is check warrant number 38 in the amount of $12,849.10.
So moved.
Motion to approve from Tony,
Second.
seconded by Art. Items over $1,000 are $1,900 to the Bennington County Sheriff, $1,000 to GA Bove Fuels, $1,200 to Greater Heights Tree Service, $1,100 to William E. Daly. Any discussion? All in favor of approving check warrant number 38, say aye. Aye. Check warrant number 38 in the amount of $12,849.10 is approved. 500. Next, I have payroll warrant number 24 in the amount of $17,115.37.
So moved.
Motion to approve from Tony,
Second.
seconded by Art. Any discussion? All in favor of approval of payroll warrant number 34, say aye. Aye. Payroll warrant number 34 in the amount of $17,115.37 is approved, 500. Appears to be it for warrants. Are there any announcements? Nope. Any public comments? Alice Miller
I'm next.
is here as our legislative state representative and would like to speak to us about legislative matters, and we're scheduling her under public comments.
I just thought I'd give you a little update on the session which came to
You
an
can
end,
sit here and speak into the mic
Sit
if you
here?
like, yeah.
but it's not over. We have to go back for the governor's threatened veto, and I'll just tell you more about that in a second. But let me just tell you some of the things that we did in our budget. We cut down on transferring inmates to out-of-state prisons, feeling that it was much better for Vermonters who are in prison to stay in Vermont so that their families can visit them. We provided family leave for 6 weeks.
Question about that one that you just mentioned?
Pardon me?
About the prisons? I had read in
It
the...
was threatening to close Windsor Prison.
Right. So a while back, there was something in the paper about us negotiating a prison deal with Pennsylvania. Did that not happen?
Yes, that's correct.
Did that happen?
I believe that's still going on.
That's still going on?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot of objection to sending Vermonters out of state.
So is this
That's
due,
still-
this due to overcrowding? That's why they're doing this? It's due to overcrowding in the prisons? Here,
I'm sorry, you have to speak up there.
overcrowded prison.
Overcrowding prisons,
Here,
but we have quite a
yeah.
decrease in the number of prisoners in the state of Vermont, which
Okay.
is very good news. You know that, don't you? There's quite a decrease, so that's very good.
I was just
I think
wondering why they,
This whole marijuana legislation, a lot of people are in prison because of marijuana. And I think now that the laws have changed and medical marijuana has been approved, and we're still working on 1 ounce of marijuana being legal, that hasn't passed, the governor has vetoed it. But I think that might decrease, if we pass that, decrease the prison population considerably. And remember, it costs about $50,000, $60,000 to keep one individual in prison. More for women, I believe, than for men. It might be closer to $80,000 for women. Town roads, I think you're going to get a little bit more money for town roads than before. Probably not a lot more, but more. At the least, it'll be level funded, but I talked to the chair of the Transportation Committee in the House and asked him specifically about this. He said it's going to increase slightly. In terms of Act 46, about 1/2 of the school district supervisory unions in the state have merged or are going to a vote on the merger question. The towns have agreed. Now they have to go to the people to vote on it. Remember, we've lost 26,000 kids in the state of Vermont since 1997. We have not decreased in any substantial amount the number of staff and teachers. So the idea is to right-size the schools is very important to do. We have about 51 districts in the state who are spending between $15,000 and $22,000 per child. In Shaftsbury, it's a little over $14,000 this year, and before this year, it was closer to $12,000, $13,000. They had some special education costs that increased the per pupil expenditure per child in Shaftsbury. I asked the SVSU for the enrollment numbers, and the enrollment numbers in our supervisory union look very good. They're not very low, but there are some schools in the state that have 46 kids in them, 6 kids per class. That's very expensive, unaffordable, not sustainable. Something has to be done about that, and that's what Act 46 is trying to do. Finally, I mean, there's more to tell you about this, but maybe I should do a special session on the legislative session before the select board meeting in the future. I will tell you this, my great disappointment this year, I was given $26,900 to give back to the town of Shaftsbury for the cost of PFOA. Remember, they said, we're the responsible party. I challenged that, big time, I challenged that. And nevertheless, so I went to what did I do? I went through all kinds of things. I did a bill, didn't like the bill. I testified before Fish and Wildlife and Natural Resources, got a tremendously supportive response. And I just talked to a lot of people and did a lot of things, and I was told that the House was going to give me back the money. I was feeling really good about that. Thought I had it to bring home to you. And then, all of a sudden, the Agency of Natural Resources and the lawyer, the deputy commissioner, wrote to everyone on appropriations, everyone in natural resources in both the House and Senate, and said, don't do this. You're setting a precedence. Meaning that not only Shaftsbury, but other towns who have a PFOA problem, rural towns, might also ask to have money sent back to them. But in point of fact, I do believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I do believe we are the only town who's being asked to pay this money. There are 6 conferees at the end of a budget session to deal with all matters that the House and Senate don't agree on. 3 on the House side, 3 on the Senate side. I had the Speaker's support in the House. I had all 3 conferees, both Republicans and Democrats, voted for it. I had Senator Sears on the Senate side. I had 4 of 6 votes, only to learn I needed to have 2 on each side, 2 House, 2 Senate. I couldn't get 1 more vote out of that body. There was a meeting recently, a day or 2 ago, at the Public House in Bennington, talking about the good news that Bennington and North Bennington are going to get support from the state to put in engineering course that St. Gobain is going to pay for that. And if they did not, the state would come in and help. Oh, really? It will, but not us, huh? So I spoke up at that meeting over the cameras and I said, oh, someone said, everybody in Bennington County has been helped. I said, not Shaftsbury. And I explained that to the governor right then and there. I talked to the governor afterwards, told him what happened. He said, why didn't you come to me? I said, I didn't think I needed you. I thought I had it in the bag. I thought I had the money. But I am going to go see him. I've been invited to speak with him. There's one more session, the veto session. I'll go up whenever he says he'll see me, and I'll tell him our plight and our story and see if we can get the money back. Highly unlikely, but he invited me to speak to him, so speak to him I will. That's the story.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Yes.
Quite well.
We'd love to have that money back.
I know you would.
Alice,
I've been working on it for 4 months to get that money back. It's been quite an experience.
I have a question. The rate that Vermont has for PFOA is lower than the federal by 3 times.
70.
Yeah.
The state is
Yeah.
70 parts per trillion. We're 23.
Who sets that rate? The legislature or some bureaucrat?
I think Art knows the answer. I think the state sends
It's not a legislative thing. It's set by.
not us. It's not us.
Right,
Yeah,
but I
it's
mean,
one of the environmental agencies, yes. It's not elected officials, yes.
Must be
okay,
the
I guess
environmental
Next
agency.
question that comes to me then is, who gave that bureaucrat the authority to do that?
I guess they can just take that authority, Kenny.
Well, I don't think that's quite
Now,
right.
you have to understand this, that children have more water in their bodies than adults.
Oh,
So the parts per trillion, the lower it is, is in the best interest of our babies
right,
and
no,
our
I mean,
kids. Very
I
important.
understand the reasoning, because it's the same thing when you work in a nuclear power plant. The younger you are, the less dosage of radiation you can get. Like a person my age can go in a nuclear power plant and get 10 times or more the rate that a 20-year-old can get.
That's just because
I
they
got
don't
less
care
life-
about you. Isn't
well,
it?
lifetime left. Same idea with the PFOA, I guess.
Oh, I forgot to tell you one thing I did. The lawyer, who's the deputy commissioner of natural resources in the state,
Peter Walker.
met with Art and me. I asked him at that meeting, I said, we're a very responsible board. We always have been. And right now it is extremely responsible. And why didn't you tell us to test for this chemical? He blurted out, well, we didn't know it existed. I said to him, well, neither did we, so therefore you're as responsible as we are. We do what you tell us to do. We didn't know we had to do that. I then went to the lawyer in legislative council, a whole lot of lawyers there in different areas, education, this field, and I met with him at length. And we put together, he wrote this. This is his position on the situation. He says the deputy commissioner is completely wrong, that we do have the right to tap this fund, the environmental fund. We do have that right, and there's $3 million in the fund. Dick Sears said to me, well, we're gonna need all that for Bennington, it's gonna be very expensive. So I said, well, we can slice out 26,000 for Shaftsbury and add more to the fund later on, perhaps. But Dick has been supportive, Dick voted with us. So, this is his position on the matter. There's a larger issue here than Shaftsbury. This could happen to any small rural town in Vermont at any time. Are we saying that we're not going to help our Vermonters, our towns, in a time of crisis? I went to North Bennington meeting that Senator Leahy came to months ago when this all surfaced, this issue with PFOA, and I said to him, I'm worried about what's going to happen to Shaftsbury. We're so close to North Bennington and Bennington. You know what he said to me? And this is really what got me going to work so hard on this. He said to me, you know, when foreign countries are in crisis, we send them all kinds of money. So why can't we help Vermonters in our time of crisis? That's what motivated me to do what I've been doing for 4 months.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Alice. It should be pointed out also, though, in fairness to Peter Walk, that in other conversations he has said that in the situation of a full-scale remediation, were that required in a town like Shaftsbury, where residents had levels in their well water above 20, that the state recognizes that that has a potential to bankrupt a town like Shaftsbury, and that the state would work with the town in that regard. The argument here has been when we, in this case, where we're not to full remediation yet, but where we had the one blip in the well and all this other testing was ordered, that testing is very expensive. The precedent that Peter's worried about breaking, I think, is that when the state says you shall test for this chemical, we shall test for it, and that's something we've always done. Every 6 months, we test our wells at our landfill for dozens of chemicals. It's just that the PFOA test is very expensive. And when, as has happened last summer, we have to test 30 wells for PFOA, it costs $26,000.
Let me tell you one thing that really is very touched by this. After I went through all this stuff you go through when you want to get something passed, and I realized I was getting nowhere, I went to the Speaker of the House. The Speaker of the House served on the Agricultural Committee for years. She was on the Appropriations Committee for years. I served with her. She became the chair of Appropriation just before she became Speaker. She knows the budget thoroughly. She knows agricultural issues thoroughly. When I went in and told her about us, she said to me, how much do you need? I said, $26,900. Okay, she said. She got every conferee on that committee, those 3 people, Republican and Democrat, to vote for Shaftsbury in 6 years. I needed one more person and couldn't get it. Not over.
No, good, good.
He's the governor.
Okay, thank you, Alice. All right, where are we now? Treasurer's report. Melanie Dexter.
Hello,
Hi,
you have mine?
I do.
Okay.
I do. There it is.
It's tiny. Okay, I'm just gonna say what I always say. We're doing great. There's nothing particularly interesting here. I already told you about the final school reconciliation last time. That's just the closing out the books for the school taxes. We had a little bit of money coming back this year. You can see that Mert has been busy. Nothing else really notable going on there. Or outgoing. It's all pretty much standard. Down at the bottom, you can see how we're doing versus budget. It's what I've been saying all along. Our revenue is a little bit ahead of where where we were this time last year. Actually, we're over 100%, so that'll go up a tiny bit more by the end of the year. And expenditures, were also spending more money than last year for the reasons we have gone into before, because we didn't have a winter last year. So all of this, there's no surprises here. It's all what I've been saying for the last few months. So that's the cash situation. I'm keeping an eye on our cash balance in the bank, because pretty soon I'm going to need to get the loan in anticipation of tax revenue, but I'm on top of that.
Right, and we approved that, and it's just a matter of you choosing when you think we need the money, right?
Yeah, I think it won't be before August this year. So it would probably be less
We have
money than...
approved it.
We have approved it.
We have,
Oh,
okay.
you have already?
Haven't we?
No.
I don't think you have for this
No,
year.
we will for fiscal
Okay.
18, you have to do it annually.
It's a stack of papers. there.
Yeah,
So,
I'll
yeah.
get the paperwork
I'm remembering
going.
last year, I guess.
Yes, right.
Yeah, I thought
It
we were
happens.
over with that.
No,
It
it's-
happens
it's
every
more-
year.
It's more than just a signature.
Yeah. Then, let's see, tomorrow, we're having, I think Dave's going to talk about this later, but we're having our first visit from Sullivan Powers already, in anticipation of the, I feel like we just finished, but, so we're starting in on that again.
That's
He's-
the audit we do annually now?
Yes, our annual audit, and we're going to get some, he's coming early this year just to get some things out of the way. I think we're getting, into a pattern and a rhythm now, so I don't think there aren't going to be any surprises, but it is starting tomorrow already.
Yeah, and David, you're going to talk to us about purchase orders later, and that's something that y'all are going to bring up with
Yeah, we'll discuss with him tomorrow,
Sullivan
part
and Powers.
of,
Yeah,
part of
David wants
changing
to
all this.
simplify the paperwork, and we want to make sure that the auditors are comfortable with it.
Yeah. The only other thing I have is one thing that Sullivan Powers brought up before. It wasn't a big issue, but they were wondering. I mean, I'm trying to translate from accounting to English here, but I think what they didn't like the way we were handling escrow when we have a tax sale. They didn't like that it was commingled with our reserve funds, and that makes perfect sense to me. So I have started the paperwork to get a completely dedicated bank account just for that. So whenever we get tax sale money, it's going to go in there, it's going to earn its interest, it's hands off for us. So that's something that I think will make them moderately happy.
Okay.
And I think that's all I've got. Anybody
Okay.
have any questions?
No? All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you, Melanie.
Road foreman report. Steve, welcome. So we all want to know when you're going to do something about the rain.
I was going to ask you that question. Would help me out a lot.
I bet it would.
Yeah, I don't have anything really too much to report other than they're rough, like nobody wants to see. Been having a rough time of it with Mother Nature not being very nice to us.
Yeah, I guess we're behind on our grading schedule. Do you know how days, weeks behind where we are?
We're at least a couple weeks behind. Not much we can do about it. Been dealt some pretty severe thunderstorms with trees down and everything else. Just need most of the crew to clean that up and just bad weather.
Yeah, I was mentioning earlier that May had twice the normal amount of rainfall as a normal May. But we have, because we have so few days a week we can grade, we have borrowed North Bennington's grader, which is parked out back, and hopefully Wednesday, Thursday, and maybe even Friday now look like we can get all three out and running to try and catch up. But I agree with Steve, nobody's really thrilled with the way things are, but today, if we had graded anything today with the rain we've had in the last few hours, it'd all be mud.
We tried to push it, like Court and Hill in a few areas that we've done, and it instantly bites you. It doesn't look like it's gonna do what it does, and
Yep.
Yeah, but with the
better
three
off not to
graders
touch it.
and a little sunshine, we'll get caught up quickly.
I think getting the big stone off the areas where we put it was a big help.
Yeah,
Now we can,
Yep,
probably, hopefully you
blend it
can
in.
fold
Blend it in.
what's left. Okay, yep.
So what is the crew able to do in this kind of weather?
we've actually done some ditching. We completed a short section on top of Cross Hill that was started a few years back. The section of Myers Road, we've done that, or by Howes, the Eric Road end of it. A few areas like that. We haven't done some brushing around Trumbull Hill, some spots on Madison Road, a few areas around town.
Started getting the signs back up.
Yep. Putting some signs up.
Oh, street signs
Yeah.
that people steal all the
Yeah.
time? Yeah.
Yeah.
Want to
Just put
refresh
like-
them all before summer came and they all disappear again.
Lake Drive in Perrin Acres was up about 3 weeks. That one's gone again. I just had to order that
Oh,
one again
no.
today.
What's so special about Perrin Acres?
Lake Drive.
Lake Drive? Mhm. Now, Blueberry Hill I can understand, but
Is there any way to weld it,
That's an aluminum
it's
cap.
aluminum to a steel thing? Okay.
We've tried about everything. Loctite, we've greased them, we've drilled straight through the pole to try to get the whole, so they can't get them off. They just
Yeah.
smash the cap. And when they can't get them, they push them over with a truck. Like over by Art's house, you can see where they pushed the
Yep.
signpost right over.
Madison.
Can you get an aluminum pole and just take it?
Possibly. They're supposed to be all the new breakaway systems so
Yeah.
that it doesn't go flying when it breaks
I
off.
think what's gonna happen is you'll find the whole pole, everything will go.
Right, yeah.
So if somebody wants it bad enough.
Holy smoke, we used to have that trouble.
Okay.
all right. Any other comments on the roads?
No, I think Steve summed it up. We'd like to get this finished as quick as we can. And we know we have a deadline ourselves because we have a busy construction schedule. We're starting in July 1st, and we just need some weather.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Very good.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
All right, item 9 concerns the Ordinary Heroes celebration that happened last week. They keep it secret until the end, but Tim Finney was named Shaftsbury's Ordinary Hero this year, and in conjunction with the ceremony, a resolution is being passed by the town, and I would like to read that now and ask that the Shaftsbury Select Board approve this resolution. This is recommended by the Historical Society, resolution for Timothy G. Finney, 2017 Shaftsbury Ordinary Hero. Whereas Timothy G. Finney, who has been a resident of Shaftsbury for 63 years and a resident of Vermont for 63 years and a resident of Shaftsbury for 25 years, and whereas Timothy G. Finney, who served on the ski patrol for Haystack and Bromley, helping others in need for a total of 50 years, and whereas Timothy G. Finney, being a Freemason for 36 years, helping to make the community and the world a better place and achieving the rank of worshipful master in 2 Bennington County lodges, and whereas Timothy G. Finney, who reached the rank of EMT 1 and who has and continues to serve the Bennington Rescue Squad for 45 years with over 4,000 calls, and whereas Timothy G. Finney, having provided education and training to members of the Bennington Rescue Squad and people from the Vermont EMS District 12, shaping the careers of many people and affecting the care of so many patients through his students still saving lives today. And whereas Timothy G. Finney, continually wanting to help others, became a registered nurse for 36 years and held 2 supervisor positions. And whereas Timothy G. Finney was with the Shaftsbury Fire Department for 10 years. And whereas Timothy G. Finney helped start and was a member of the North Shaft First Responder Group, helping the people of North Bennington and Shaftsbury by reaching those who needed help faster than the rescue squad coming from Bennington could. Whereas Timothy G. Finney has made Shaftsbury, Bennington County, and the state of Vermont a better place to live, play, and grow. And whereas the Shaftsbury Historical Society and the town of Shaftsbury, in recognition of the many ways Timothy G. Finney has served his community, now therefore it be resolved that June 5th, 2017 is declared Ordinary Heroes Day in Shaftsbury and is devoted to honoring Timothy G. Finney, whose public recognition is richly deserved and long overdue.
So moved.
There's a motion from Art to move the resolution.
Second.
Seconded by Tony. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. That resolution is approved by a vote of 500. And thank you to the Shaftsbury Historical Society and to Timothy G. Finney.
Thank you.
Man, how's that for timing? It is 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
The ordered time for opening
Opening of
the
the bids.
bids on the architectural services. These are the people that are going to help us generate a big bid package that we can use to seek bids on the garage building. Wow, they're heavy.
Yeah, well, one's heavy, one's light, I don't know what that means.
Okay, this first one is from Goldstone Architecture. RFP for architectural services.
And just for the
Notice how they
record,
don't let me have sharp objects when I open
Yeah.
things anymore. Okay, Goldstone Architecture. Proposal for architectural service, maintenance garage building. Cover letter. Proposal. Design team. Skip to the end and see if we get a number. Okay. I find here where it says, fee proposal for architectural and engineering services, total fee is $39,500. And there is another one here. And I'm not sure how that fits into this. This says, our fee for engineering services as outlined in the scope of services, including normal reimbursement expenses for mileage, postage, photography, printing, will be billed monthly against a lump sum of $4,600. So as usual, we're gonna have to
yeah,
take some
because
time
there
to
should
pull
be
these
another
apart.
figure in there for construction administration too.
What kind of number are we expecting?
That should probably be something we should discuss in a
Oh, okay,
closed
okay.
session.
Cover letter.
Yeah, I think with this, I'm gonna have to copy all this out and get it to everyone. But I would suggest that we don't wait till our next meeting, because time is kind of the essence in moving this along, so.
Okay.
I will get copies to everybody, manual copies for Ken and Joe, and review it, and we can talk about it maybe sometime early next week meeting to move this along.
PR stuff.
Yeah, this is mostly resume.
Yeah.
You want the whole board or committee to decipher this? But if the board's got to vote, it's got to be if we're going to get a vote before next meeting, it's got to be a
Yeah, we'll have to have a special
special
meeting.
meeting.
It'll be a special executive meeting because we have to, it's contracts, and then we'll reopen it and the vote can take place.
Yeah, those are the only numbers I have.
Because it might explain even that 39, it might be part of that. It's in words somewhere in there, so. I need time to read this.
And this one is from CT Mail Associates.
Wow.
Yeah. Table of contents.
These are all duplicates.
Oh, good, that helps.
Yeah.
All right, so 3 of the same thing. Really, I thought a table of contents.
And if I can take a moment, just to clarify, the 39.5 on this includes construction administration, bidding, design, everything we were asking for.
Okay. All right, it looks like for this one, the total fee is $59,140. It breaks down the hourly rate. Okay, well, I think we got the 2 totals into the public record. We'll have to study these in more detail.
And what I'll do is pass one of these down to Ken and one down to you, and I'll get PDFs to everybody else.
Okay.
No, you keep one, Joe.
Oh, okay.
And I'll get PDFs of these to everybody else, because these are the same books. They give us 3 copies. And I'll see if I can get a PDF, and I'll go through this one for the totals.
Yeah. See if you can get that from them. I don't
Oh, no, I will
want you to
PDF
spend
this,
your
yeah.
next week scanning
Okay,
that book.
scanning that book in, but I'm sure they'll send us a PDF. And then we, because we're kind of on a timeline here, I would suggest no later than the very beginning of next week or possibly the end of this week to just reconvene and have a brief discussion and a vote on this.
Okay.
I'll send you a synopsis in the morning of what the 2 actual totals are.
I can't meet Monday. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I'm gone. Of next
Okay.
week.
Why don't we aim for Friday?
Friday?
I don't know, it's up to my calendar.
Okay.
Friday would be good.
Friday evening or afternoon?
Friday,
This Friday or next Friday?
I think it would be best not to let 2 weeks go by. I think if Friday isn't going to work, maybe even Thursday afternoon or evening.
Of this week?
Yeah, because I can get a synopsis out to everyone on the actual numbers, and then I can get a PDF of all the pertinent things out of this to everyone pretty quickly. We can have a meeting, discuss it, and,
Friday's graduation, high school graduation.
oh, jeez, I'm not going to be here. My kids are graduating. I have 3 kids graduating from high school. I should have remembered
Okay.
that. I'm not gonna be here.
Do we want to try for Thursday
What would
afternoon?
my wife say?
Thursday? Yeah, I know.
All right, we'll try for Thursday afternoon.
Okay. Yeah, that should be good, and we'll work out a time. Joe, what's the earliest you could do Thursday afternoon?
The earliest I could
Yeah.
do would be like 3:30.
3:30? Okay, 3:30 to 4 we'll shoot for. Tony, does that work for you?
Yeah, I should be in court, but I'll get out like at, how about,
5?
can we do like 4:30? Is that all right?
I have to teach a class at 5, so.
Oh, all right, well then, go ahead, do it at 3:30.
Okay. 3:30 work for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thursday.
Okay.
All right. Okay, item 11. Kurt Merrow is here to request designation of the site on Buck Hill Road as a solar installation preferred site.
Okay, I was at the last select board meeting, I don't know if I read the letter or not, I did. If anybody wants me to read it again, I will. Hopefully you've all gotten a copy of it. I met with the planning commission and they agreed to sign the letter to designate my property as a preferred site for an expanded ground mount solar array. As you may or may not know, there are 2 rows currently, and it's totals 90 kilowatt, and we're proposing to add another 2 rows, which will double its size. 1 row will go in front of the 2 existing rows, 1 will go behind it, so there won't be any significant ground clearing in addition. It's just gonna go on open sites, but the state requires that, the rules starting in 2017
that the site be designated a preferred site by the Planning Commission, the Select Board, and Bennington County Regional Commission. So I'm requesting that the Select Board sign the letter that we can submit to the state. And I was just informed today that within a week or two, the town will be getting an application or an outline of the proposed project being constructed by Power Guru out of North Bennington. And I guess that's about it. Any questions? Okay.
It's worth, I think, bringing up, because it came up in the Planning Commission, that because this is on the side of a hill, it's not considered prime agricultural land where we're putting this. And the other thing I think it's worth mentioning is that the siting of solar facilities, of renewable facilities, has been a big controversy for a while, and towns have not felt like they've had much control over this. These new rules that bring Kurt here tonight to sign this, that we're expecting to come into play this year, appear to give towns a whole lot of control over this. This essentially can't happen unless we say it's a preferred site. So I think we've gone from not as much control as we want to a heck of a lot of control over where solar sites are placed.
You're looking for a motion?
Yes.
I make a motion that we sign the letter.
Okay, we have a motion from Art to designate the site on Buck Hill Road as a preferred site for solar installation.
Second.
Seconded by Ken. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion is approved, 500.
Joe, you can just give me that one back. Thank you. Yeah, let Tim have that. That's the next thing on the agenda.
Oh, this is for the next one?
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right, while these guys finish signing that, our next item of business is the chairman of the Board of Trustees would like access to the Board of Trustees bank account. And that is a hard thing to do.
I think at this point you should have the original now. We just need a signature, and we need to change the date on it to reflect today's.
There's a tab on there, and then just change the date by the tab.
And then you and I just need to initial that.
Okay, did we do a motion to authorize this, or do we
We
need to?
tabled it last time, so we need to make a motion to authorize it.
Okay, okay. Then I need a motion to sign the forms giving, in this case, Melanie Dexter, Rob Stewart, Barry Meyer, and William Hessian, the treasurer, and our 3 trustees of public funds, access to the trustees of public funds accounts.
So moved.
Moved by Tony.
I'll second, but I want some discussion.
Okay, seconded by Art. Discussion.
I thought Melanie did not want her name on there.
It turns out she had, oh,
She,
go
yeah,
ahead.
she stated that she would like to have been removed. When I spoke with People's Bank, they require the treasurer to be on the account.
Okay.
Since the account is under the town's tax number,
Yep.
and she's in charge of that, she has to be on the account.
Okay. All right.
All right. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. That motion is agreed to by a vote of 500. And so I will sign.
And you'll also have it notarized, right?
All right. So this is
So,
the
yeah,
5th.
do it tomorrow with them.
Yeah, and then you can just mail it.
You want tomorrow's date?
Yeah,
No.
well, no,
No,
you
today-
should
today-
sign it all with Marlene. And then we'll get it back to you. Or I'll just put it in the mail if you
You
want.
just mail it in.
Yeah,
Maybe make a copy for me if you would.
sure.
So do I need witnesses and a notary for this?
Yes,
Yes.
you have to sign it with Marlene.
You should have stopped me. It'll be okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll
Just
get
have you sign it again
Marlene's
over it.
stamp on that tomorrow.
And then you could just copy them.
And then I'll just mail it, I'll get you a copy.
Yeah, let me just initial that.
Oh, okay, sure. Right up here.
And Tim, can you initial that as well?
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right, item 13 is the TAM Host Town Agreement. David and I have been talking about this and thought this was worthy of some discussion here at the board. This agreement is coming up for renewal. I've asked Trevor to be here tonight to chime in on the discussion if needed. When the transfer station was established some 10 years ago, it was, the town chose to institute a, what they called a host town agreement that includes a few things like that he'll keep the property up and that sort of thing, but also that the new business would be charged a fee of 53 cents a ton for trucks traveling on the road to compensate for damage done to the road perhaps, or just to see what this new business was going to do to the town. As we contemplate renewing this tax, I think it's worth keeping in mind that this is a tax that we've only chosen to apply to TAM. Casella collects waste in town and we don't charge them this host town tax. Daily drives on our roads with a lot heavier weight than TAM does, and we don't charge those tax. So I've kind of been of the opinion that, I guess the other thing that's worth mentioning is, you know, we wanted to see how the business, what kind of damage the business might potentially do to the town, or what expense the town might incur, additional expense because of this new transfer station business in town. We haven't had any in 10 years. TAM has operated a good, efficient business that employs a number of people locally, and I'm of the opinion that we can probably stop charging this one business this tax.
You looking for a motion? I'll make one.
Art has making a motion that we change the town host agreement with TAM to remove the host town tax.
Second.
Second. Any more discussion?
I think it's worth mentioning that there's no other town that charges. Bennington does not charge for anybody hauling into there. Is that not right, Dave?
That's correct. On the outside of a 20-mile radius do they start charging. Dorset doesn't, Sunderland doesn't, at the Casella facilities there. This would be the only one with a local host town fee. And just as a note to amend the amendment, it should be called the host community fee, is
Host
what you're going
community fee,
to...
okay.
Okay.
Without objection, we'll record the motion that way. If there's no other discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion is agreed to by a vote of 5-0-0. Okay.
Then the next part would be to renew the agreement minus that, so we'll draw up a new one for the next meeting, because it has to be renewed. In the other, how many sections are there here? The other 19 sections of this, so we would drop the community fee, and still have the host town agreement for the other parts of it. Correct? Okay.
Okay. Is that
And
agreeable? Okay, good.
And we can all look through this, and that way it'll maintain on the records for another 10 years, and you can do it that way.
Okay.
Okay.
Then we'll actually sign the agreement then at our next meeting.
And it's for a 10-year period?
That's what this one was for, so so
I think there,
it revises,
I think there's a 5-year,
I think 5 years it revises. Well, I'll look through it and,
yeah, look and see, I thought I read something in there about it repeating every 5 years, but.
yeah, okay.
All right.
And then a change of tonnage, so, but we can work the wording on that, and I'll put it around, any changes I see, I'll discuss with Tam, and we'll bring in a document for the next meeting.
Okay,
Okay?
good.
Okay.
Tax sales for delinquent water bills.
Okay, we just want to reiterate for the board, we've authorized tax sales for delinquent water properties. I signed the paperwork with Kevin O'Toole last week. We have 3 properties that will be put up for tax sale for failure to pay water bills. Most of them are in conjunction also with property tax bills. I'll just give you the amounts now until people are actually notified. So there's a lot of paperwork here. One's for $712.40. That's in connection with property taxes. The other one's for $775, and the other one's for $1,630. So, and these are all very long overdue bills. Some have been paid somewhat, but like I said, most are connected with tax bills anyway. Since we sent the first letters of notification that we were doing tax sales, several properties cleared themselves up. These 3 have not. I would anticipate, one frankly is in the foreclosure, and Citibank has it, so I'm expecting that to be remedied also. The other 2, I'm hoping that something will happen before we actually go to the sale, but they should be receiving the letters from the attorney's office saying that we're moving forward within the week. So,
if it's not part of a tax sale for $1,000, somebody could, I mean, obviously we go through the whole period of
the redemption, yeah.
redemption, but somebody could actually end up with the property for paying the tax sale for the
Correct.
hotel?
It's
Is
the
that
exact
right?
same procedure.
Okay.
And, yeah, the biggest one, only
it's a
because someone else
$1,000.
paid, is now $1,600.
Okay.
And it's exactly like a property tax bill. If you don't redeem it within a year, then whoever bought it at tax sale owns the property.
Okay.
Yep, it's a big stick, but these are bills that we have tried every other way we
Yeah,
can
these,
to
yeah.
to collect.
Yep.
Yeah, these are not, this is not a few weeks. We're still being very, not lenient, but understanding of people's financial problems and not cracking down the first few months of delinquency. But these are all extended. And some that did settle up now were only responsive when they got the first letter from the attorney. So it's unfortunate, but that's how we get things to work.
Yeah.
All right. Dog licenses and ordinance violations.
We had a meeting with myself, the animal control officer, the 2 constables, and the fire warden to reinstitute a stronger enforcement of the town's ordinances. There's been problems with open fires in the village. There's been problems handling animal complaints. All ordinances, because we don't have a police force, getting the sheriffs to come or the troopers to come, everything is over before they get there. If, in the case of troopers, they even have time to divert for something serious to come for an ordinance. So what we're doing, I've contacted the state. We had a meeting, the 5 of us last month. We're having another one this month. I've gone through the judiciary. I have a number of summonses books that are valid. I'm having myself, the animal control officer, the fire warden, and the 2 constables put on as issuing officers for the town, and I'll be the authorized holder of the books and liaison with the judiciary. We're going to set up the procedure so that any one of us who witnesses an ordinance violation can issue the summons for the violation. The hard thing is, and what we need to get through to people, is that a ordinance violation unwitnessed, the animal control officer, the wardens, and the constables cannot sign a violation for that, cannot sign a summons. Through Paul McGann and myself, we're putting together a form which will be a statement that if you saw something and you want a summons issued, if you write out a statement and you attest to its truth and have it notarized by the town clerk, the responsible officer will then decide whether or not they're going to sign a complaint based on that and your statement that you are willing to come to court. Because once a summons is issued, it goes to court. And none of the 5 of us are going to sign a summons based on a story we hear from someone and then wind up in court with no witness, and we've charged someone with something. Even an ordinance, we've charged them with something that we didn't witness. And that's true in law enforcement everywhere. Any minor offense like that, if it's not witnessed by the officer, they're not signing a complaint. If you're not going to come in and give a sworn statement, no one's signing a complaint. The calls I've gotten, whether it's for burning or animals, I've offered to say, you can sign a complaint. You know, either I've said, go over to the barracks, sign a complaint, call the sheriff, come in here. But, you know, of course, and I understand that. A lot of this is neighbors and things, so people don't want to do that. But they also have to understand that calling here or calling the animal warden the next day or calling the animal warden, even an example that's right out of the judiciary's book, is the person who says there's a dog running loose in the neighborhood. The ACO gets there, there's no dog running loose in the neighborhood, and the complainant insists that a summons be issued. Well, the complainant can sign that summons and go to court and testify that he saw the dog loose, but the ACO cannot. So that's going to be a hard thing for people to adjust to, but we are setting it up so that we can do this if we have cooperation from the complainant. And the other reason we are setting this up and redoing it is we have a stubborn group of unlicensed dogs. Now, most of the people, the vast majority of people in town are licensing their dogs in accordance with state law. We need to enforce the state law. It's actually our job and our responsibility to make sure this happens. So within 2 to 3 weeks, the constables will be going around to anyone who hasn't licensed a dog. I'm having printers similar to this one that the town of Manchester uses. If no one's home, the constables will leave these on the door. And from the date you're issued this, you'll have 2 weeks to register your dog, or you will just be issued a summons. Once a summons is issued, there's an immediate court cost of $50 with it, plus the increased fines from being late and forcing us to go through this. You're also responsible for any and all court costs that are assessed to the town, and if we need an attorney, you're also responsible for that. So we're doing this it's similar to having to go to tax sale to get the water bills paid because your neighbors are paying for that water. This is most people are paying for the dogs, and it's just not fair. It's a matter of equity. We've lowered 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we lowered the dog fees to $7 or $8. Sure. If you do it on time, it's like $10. If you get to this stage where this shows up at your door, and then we issue a summons, you're talking well over $100 instead of just handling this now. If you come in now over the next 2 weeks, if you're late, the fee right now is somewhere between $20 and $24. So I encourage everyone to do this because we're setting this mechanism in place, and it's an obligation to all the other residents who did license their dogs that we do this. And like I said, it's a state law that we're responsible to enforce. The board's responsible to enforce. So we're setting up the mechanism, and I'm hoping that the same effect that tax sales had on paying water bills, that this will entice people to come down here and take care of this in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Because once we get geared up, the constables will be going around and knocking on the doors of everyone who is on our unlicensed dog list. And 2 weeks after the issuance of this, you will just get a summons in the mail. And the summons requires either you come in and pay a fine, a waiver fee they call it, which is going to be much more than the cost right now, or you're going to have to go to court in Bennington. And that seems like just a lot of expense and lost time instead of just taking care of this now. So
you getting any pushback from the constables because we're just paying them $10 an hour?
No, we're working through all that. We're going to monitor to see how much time this takes. They're very interested in getting into the roles that they have in the town, and I've worked with Paul in discussing a lot of this stuff, and I think with the authority and the right to go forward, we can do this. And I know Jerry Madison, the fire warden, was also glad to have this so that we can address some of the burning issues.
He's not paid by the town, is that right? I mean,
He gets a stipend,
he does, okay,
Yeah.
then, good enough.
yeah. But he's not directly paid,
No, it's not like the.
Yeah, no, it's not like an hourly thing.
Okay.
And, you know, the ACO, it's part of her job to do.
Yes, well,
There
she-
has been a multiple amount of problems with this process over the years, I understand. But if you take all the, you know, it's a ticket thing, I understand these things. If you take all the big language out of it, it's just push it straight through. The biggest thing is having the witness, and that's, I think, been the biggest problem with the ACO, is people say, oh, this dog did that and that. I didn't see it, sign the complaint, and people don't like to.
Okay.
And that's been going on forever, so. But it is coming, so I encourage everyone, if you have a dog, if you got a notice from the clerk that your dog isn't licensed, take advantage of this window to do it before it gets a lot more expensive. And it just says we've been not taking it to this level, but it's become very unfair to the rest of the people who are doing it. So,
Yeah, and it bears noting too that the reason the state requires licensing and the reason that we care about it is it's a health issue. The main point of licensing is that we verify that the animals have rabies vaccinations. Sorry.
and that's a major part of it.
That was actually a great program they had, the Women's Feed
Yeah.
Store with Dr. Delaney. I mean, people, I think they had the town clerk there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
with the dog
I think
licensing,
12
when you went to get the
I think
vet.
there were 12 of them this last time.
yeah,
The one we had this spring, there were 12 people that signed up.
yeah.
I think that's right.
It was really convenient. I mean, I brought my dog in as well, just,
Yeah.
geez, you can get two things done at once. It was great.
And I think it's the town has, in the last 2 years especially, we waived any past due fines, we lowered the rates. I think we've put out as many carrots as we can to just, look, no past fine will count anymore, no lowering the fee, and it's still, we have this core, at the end of last year, it was like 65 people. And that, not when hundreds more have come in and paid. Let's just get it done, so I would get it done in the next 2 weeks,
I'll talk about that.
before it gets worse.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, update on the purchasing policy. Dave, you have some ideas about purchase orders.
Yeah, what happened was a gentleman came in and he actually asked about one, and it occurred to me I'd been thinking about getting rid of this for years. It's something that it's kind of keeps getting back down the order. The original purchasing policy was issued in 2004. It requires what in today's environment is a lot of excessive paperwork to document purchase orders that we've never been questioned about by Sullivan and Powers or anything. For the most part, they're not done, and they haven't been done here since before I got here. What happens is basically the administrator turns into the clearinghouse for all the purchases. I sign every invoice, and the board signs every check, and the purpose of those who, like we have Steve still do purchase orders mainly just for a tracking thing, but you'll take this is the invoice, and you'll write it on the purchase order, you'll put it together. I sign the invoice, because that's the only thing I sign, and the bookkeeper gets it, enters it into the computer, and the entire 4-piece purchase order goes into the file cabinet, never to be seen in the light of day again. In an organization where I might be purchasing in this department, and I'll send a copy to receiving and another copy to purchasing, but it's all kind of me. And it's, what Sullivan Powers had us do 2 years ago was that I sign every invoice that comes through the building. And the only invoices that get on the warrants that you see are ones that I've signed. And we match up invoices with packing slips, and, you know, it works fine, and everything, 99% of everything is going through that way. This has dropped off, and it's a policy that's not really, you know, it's outmoded and it's not needed. It just leads to confusion when you read it. And there's even a part in here where I'm supposed to do a monthly, you know, shopping list for stationery, you know, which, you know, I log on to Staples and order what the people want. It's not a big production, but, you know, it's a lot of extra paper. It's not looked at. It requires the chair to sign on different things, but that's in fact, in the minutes, anything over any of these amounts is voted on right at the table here and is in the minutes of the board meetings. So it's just creating a piece of paper that serves no function to anything.
And if it's big enough, it's under a contract.
Yeah, it's under a contract, and that's actually the question that came up, was he was asking about a contract and wanted to see the purchase order for the contract. I said, it's a signed contract. And he's like, well, in section whatever, and I was like, well, that's why we have to get rid of this, because it's, yeah, you know, I appreciated what he was saying, but it was kind of a good point. It made me think, well, this is the confusing part of this. It's, you know, right in here, not in this part, but right in here, it says, this level, I can just buy. Next level, we talk with the board, I buy. Over 10, we put out the bid, but everything comes across the table here and is approved here by the vote of the board. So, like the chair signing an extra purchase order doesn't make, you know, it was voted by everybody right here, and then I'm sitting here with a 4-part form, which is still completely intact because we have nobody to send the other parts to. And then, you know, it gets stapled to an invoice and gets put in the file cabinet. Sullivan Powers is coming tomorrow. I'm just gonna run this by them. I mean, anything you want to tweak in this, but this is what I want to do with it. And I don't think they're going to have any objection because they've been looking at this stuff for the last 3 years. And it's just a lot of stuff. And I remember when I worked in the receiving department in a hospital 40 years ago, yeah, because I had one copy and I got, the stuff came in and I signed for it here, sent that to the purchasing department who had a copy, and they sent it to, you know, the OR that had a copy because they needed this thing, you know, but here it's...
So in order to change this, is it just a vote of?
It's just a vote of the board, yeah.
Vote of the board to change the purchase policy.
That's what I'm saying, this doesn't have to require a town vote or anything else.
No, and actually, if you go to the original VLCT that I put in here, their discussion, they don't mention purchase orders at all.
No, okay.
They don't regard this as
In fact,
being needed, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say the VLCT example of a purchase policy makes the point of the distinction between policy and procedure, and says sometimes purchase policies get into procedure, but they should really be about policy. And, you know, all of this filling out in quadruplicate is very clearly procedure and doesn't need to be in our purchasing policy.
Good.
Yeah.
So, do you want us to make a motion that we go ahead and do that upon, or would you rather come back to us after Sullivan and Powers?
I think because it's convenient, because they only called last week, they're starting this year's audit tomorrow. I'll just run it by Jordan when he's here, and if they want us to add a paragraph, or they say take it all out, then we'll bring it up for a vote at the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll vote next meeting.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think we're all agreeable, but yeah, let's run it by them, make sure they don't want to
Yeah.
tweak it anymore.
Yeah, they're the key ones in this. And speaking of them, they want money.
And next on the agenda, the contract for the audit for this year. So,
I thought it was a multi-year contract.
It is, but we have to sign every year. This is the last year of it,
Okay,
but we have to sign every year to,
okay.
yeah, pass that one over.
so this outlines the scope of services. We've seen this before. They tell us exactly in all kinds of accounting ease what they do and what they don't do. And the bottom line is
15,200.
15,200. I don't think that's on here.
That's on page
Oh,
7,
fee arrangement, yeah, $15,200.
which is what we agreed to 3 years ago. Went up a couple hundred every year from when we started. And it's still, it's a very minor investment for a lot of transparency, as you have an outside group audit where all the town's money is going.
Make the motion, will we sign it?
Art makes a motion to sign the contract with Sullivan Powers for this year's audit.
Second?
Seconded by Tony. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion is agreed to, 500.
I guess we can move on to the next one as that's being signed. We have the Bennington County Sheriff's Office, the renewal of their contract. The hourly rate went up 74 cents an hour, which makes it $615.68 more a year for the 16 hours a week. They'll still have the $8 per hour for cruiser mileage, which seemed to work out this year, but the rest of the contract is the same.
Okay.
As I said, it's a 74-cent increase per hour from this year.
All right. So is there a motion to sign the sheriff's contract for another year? Moved by Tony,
I'll second it. Well,
seconded by Art.
I'd like some discussion.
Any discussion?
Would you explain that again? They went up considerable quite a while ago, or
Last year, they went up a great deal
and we cut our hours back to
Back.
compensate it for
to
it.
compensate for that.
So is this gonna put us over budget?
No, this, I worked in a little bit anticipating something, so this will stay in, and it leaves us a little bit of flex in case, we have to get them for something else, so they're here for more than the 16 hours a week, which in theory could happen. But we're well within budget. That's $34.74, was it an hour? Don't have-
$34.74.
Yeah, plus the $8. Yeah, last year was the year it really went up a lot.
But you said the increase last year to this year is about $600?
$615.
Okay. As long as we're.
When they patrol, Dave, are they just doing Shaftsbury Village and around, or do they get out in the hollow and stuff?
They do get around, because I watch to see where they go. We get what we used to call day sheets, I think they call them patrol logs, which list where each officer is when they're on duty here, what time they start, what time they go off, because they all work different 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours. And it's what roads they go on, what checks they do, whether it's Howard Park, the school, Cole Hall, other town facilities. So it's a pretty clear indication of where they are, which I like, because I wouldn't want to see them just sitting on 7A. I don't want them just hanging out down here. They should be out going around everywhere.
If you've got some control over them, ask them to do West Mountain Road.
West Mountain?
West Mountain Road.
Sure.
Yeah, it's from the apple orchard up over here.
Yeah.
And then by Charlotte Galusha's, there's that sharp bend. More people have gone off the road into the
Yeah.
stone wall. For some reason, there's some speeders out in there.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. We should look at that for some
Yeah.
signage, maybe.
If it wasn't for the potholes in front of Fritz Ludwig's, they'd probably slide right on the main road.
Yeah, that's why he likes them. Yeah, because we were thinking of paving that, but if we pave it, we might have to put a big speed hump in it, just to keep people from accelerating when they hit the pavement and then having to slam on their brakes when they come over the low rise.
That won't matter, Dave, because wherever that blacktop stops, it's gonna be rough.
Oh, yeah, where the blacktop stops going towards the dirt, yeah, all the
Yeah.
potholes will just migrate down to the other end,
So,
because,
year after year, you pretty quick you have the whole road paved.
so, well, bit by bit, I'll fit in with our budget, bit by bit, we'll get down to the corner.
Any more discussion on the sheriff's contract?
No.
All in favor of extending the sheriff's contract for another year at an increased rate, slightly increased rate of $34 $8.74 per hour, a 74-cent increase. Say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right.
That vote is approved, 500.
And one last thing that I have, I guess we'll move to other business. There's Ken's request a couple months ago for parking restrictions on 7A. There's going to be a hearing Wednesday, June 14th at 1 PM in Montpelier to restrict parking at the corner of Buck Hill Road and Route 7A. It'll extend the no parking zone 135 feet south from Buck Hill Road on the east curb and 50 feet north on 7A on the east curb to deal with some of the terrible sightline problems we have there. All the property owners that surround the corner have received written notification of this hearing, and it's on the webpage. But in response to people who have come in here, Ken's suggestion, we measured it off. I've talked to the V-Trans investigator, and I've talked to people at District 1. So we got a hearing scheduled to talk about this June 14th. If there's public input or if some people feel necessary, if any of the property owners come in and can't make Montpelier, we can set up a phone connection so that they can voice their concerns over it. So far, I've not heard from anybody on it. It may be that I'll go up to Montpelier for this hearing, and then I can talk to Derek about where my money is for the rest of the sidewalk. But so far, I haven't heard anything.
So does somebody from the select board or town representative ask to be there?
I don't know if they have to be, but it might be a good idea, or I might just do it on the phone, or
What is the 14th? Is that a Wednesday?
it's a Wednesday,
I can't make it.
June 14th at 1 PM.
Yeah, I'm giving a strong thought about going. You don't have to be there, but when I was there, when we did the lowering the speed limit, it matters, I believe, that you've got representation there.
Okay.
Otherwise, you get what the V-Trans people think you should get.
Yeah. The V-Trans people are very supportive of this.
Okay.
And they have, because the document's going back to 2013 about seeing how this worked and then doing something about the sightline issue. Well, the sidewalk is essentially finished, the speed signs are in and everything, and you still have large vehicles blocking your view, you just can't see. Yeah, so,
But yeah, I mean, if none of us are there and, somebody from the public calls in and says, I'm against it, that might be the only thing they hear, so.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
I would go if I was around, but I just won't be here.
okay. And that would be it for me under other business.
I've got a couple things under other business.
Okay.
I just want to put it as an action item, follow through on the, getting the speed, the radar working on coming into town from.
Yeah, it works.
It does work now?
Yeah, we cut the trees back this morning.
Thank you, good man. Don't bother to put it down then.
Okay.
And the other thing is that, I've heard a request for Jake brake signing or anti-Jake
Yes.
brake signing.
Yeah, I'm looking into that.
Okay.
I don't know, we can't do that ourselves, we have to
No,
get
I wouldn't-
V-Trans permission to do it.
I wouldn't think we could, but.
Yeah, no, who do I talk to? But it's interesting, it must be like an acoustical thing, because you can hear it up there on Ledgely, but I've talked to people, you can't hear it down here, but with them going 24/7 now, yeah, I wouldn't want to listen to that in the middle of the night either, so.
I was gonna say, I've been hearing the Jake breaks when they come down Route 7A into town.
Yeah.
Where that speed sign is.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's, it's like they're hitting the Jake brake to slow down fast.
Yeah, or just
You're
to,
on Cleveland Avenue?
Yeah,
So
Okay.
You can imagine what it's like up
Yeah.
on Ledgely, bouncing
Yeah.
right off.
right, yeah.
I don't know if that's voicing their displeasure or, really needing a Jake break, because many towns have those signs, and I mean, we'll get them, I'm sure we'll get them,
Yeah.
but it's just a few steps to get them.
Yeah, is there does any teeth come with it?
Well, yeah, if someone's there to witness it and listen to it, I guess. But everything, when I was in that business, everything that had to do with decibels and sound has a huge argument with it.
Yes, I bet.
Like, how did you measure that? Did it, it offended my ears? Well, that doesn't work in court, It's like, what was the decibel of it? And we didn't run into Jake breaks much by where I was, but I remember lots of places where I had been where, in Idaho, the chippers coming down the mountain would be, holy cow, and the town had to put a stop to that because you could hear them. And yet they were going all the time, and you heard them all the time, and they finally had to put an end to it.
The other thing with that, Dave, that varies with every truck and
Yep.
every engine.
Yes. it
Yep.
does.
If it's a Detroit, it's gonna be different than a Cummins or a Mack or whatever.
They've got-
And how are you gonna catch any one of them?
They've got them silenced. The newer trucks aren't nearly as.
Oh, I know,
as-
the
as
newer ones
Yeah.
are a lot better, but
Yeah.
but they're necessary. Try coming off the Woodford Mountain without one.
All right, I was just going back through here, looking at all the items to see what we had decided to do. So, in action items, David is gonna look at, is looking into Jake brake signage. He's gonna distribute the RFP that we looked at earlier.
Oh, there it is.
And point us toward how to compare those two numbers. I'm going to sign the bank documents in front of the notary tomorrow to give the trustees access to the bank account. Dave's going to edit the host town agreement to take out the host town tax, so we can sign that next time. And the board needs to look at the purchasing policy, and Dave will let us know what Sullivan Powers says about that. Be prepared to adopt a new purchasing policy next time. Going back, just to remind Dave and Jim McGinnis that we're looking at the Water Department rules and regulations. Our next water board meeting, we're going to probably want to make adjustments to that. Also, Dave and Jim are reviewing the budget relative to a new Water Department superintendent assistant salary. Other items have been checked off. Back on 5-1, there was an RFP that we wanted to include in the minutes. It probably is in the minutes.
It is in the minutes.
We haven't seen- we forgot to look at the minutes tonight. You are doing a grant application, a municipal planning grant application for
Yeah,
extending the
that's due
sidewalk?
in July, so.
Due in July, okay.
Yeah.
We'll just-
And that's just for a scoping study.
Right. And then the ones we did tonight, so those are the action items. We need to have an executive session. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Can we have a legal meeting on Thursday? I mean, is there enough time to warn everything?
Yeah.
How does that work?
I'll just warn it tomorrow morning.
Yeah, you can have a 2-day notice, I believe it is.
48 hours, yeah.
Without any real sweat, and you can have a 24-hour notice in an emergency.
Okay.
Or even if it's a real emergency, like it's flooding, you can just say, yell out the window, we're having a meeting.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
good enough. Yep,
Yep. And that's going to be 3:30 on Thursday.
yes. Okay, that's all.
Anything else? Okay, we need to have an executive session to discuss a personnel issue. So I will entertain a motion that we go into executive session.
So moved.
Tony,
Second.
and by Art, all in favor? Aye.